Apocalypse Now by Desutoria. Chapter 10. It didn't take long for Hideki, Harmony, and Xerxes to feel right at home in their new base. The power was shut off to the entire facility, but the generator room was quickly located, and one thunderbolt from J-Dog gave the machine enough power to run for several hours before needing another. The three set up residence in the bottomless floor of the facility. Hideki was fairly certain that no humans could possibly discover the entrance to the facility, much less a zombified Pokemon, but he also didn't believe that there was any such thing as overcautiousness. The area they had chosen to camp out in was divided into two rooms, each containing basic furniture items such as tables and chairs. Hideki and Harmony claimed the larger of the two rooms. Xerxes took the other for himself. Xerxes' room contained a small cabinet, which they used to store some of their excess goods. Unfortunately, neither room contained any more inviting resting surface than the cold tile floor. "Well, guys, I think I'm going to bed," Xerxes said, yawning. "And by bed, I mean floor, damn it." "There's a hotel a few blocks away if you prefer," Hideki replied. "Are you always such a smart-ass, Hideki?" "He can be nice when he wants to be," Harmony said. "That's a lie," said Hideki. Harmony laughed quietly. She was happy to see Hideki making jokes again, even at his own expense. His sense of humor used to be one of her favorite qualities in him, and it was the one quality that seemed to fall the hardest after he came back from home. "Well, you gotta be doing something right to keep her around," said Xerxes. "No girl I know has much of a tolerance for anything, for that matter." "The good outweighs the bad by far," she said, looking at him and smiling. "Speaking of which, sometime I'd love to hear the story of how you two met." "What makes it seem like that so interesting?" asked Hideki. "Well, I mean, just two former champs from different regions. There's gotta be some story behind how you two became friends. But, for now, I really do need to get some sleep. Okay, good night, Xerxes." About an hour later, Hideki was the only one still awake. He sat on the floor, leaned up against a strange machine about the size of a refrigerator in one corner of the room. In another corner, Harmony lay fast asleep, clutching Hideki's jacket under her head as sort of a makeshift pillow. It usually took Hideki quite a while to fall asleep under normal conditions. He found himself drifting off faster than he would have thought. He hadn't realized how tired he really was until he had actually stopped to relax. He'd been through a lot today, from watching the man who had given him his very first Pokemon being torn apart by an undead Raticate, to losing one of the Pokemon that had brought him his Kanto championship. Even his time with Harmony had been an emotional roller coaster, although his feelings were mostly positive now in regard to her. His mind began to wander to the infection. He wondered how this whole zombification process worked on a biological level. Rochelle must have turned so quickly because she came in direct contact with the infected bodily fluids, he decided. There's no way an airborne virus could spread so quickly with such devastating results. Even if it did, nothing with the virus could come any further east, as Mount Moon was completely sealed off. He still didn't feel safe. Something still nagged at him. Something. "Hideki?" He felt something peck at his shoulder. He had almost completely drifted off to sleep, so this interruption startled him, and he awoke with a small jolt. Harmony was now kneeling very close to him. "I'm sorry, I woke you up, didn't I? You were kinda moving a little, so I thought you might not be asleep." "It's alright," he said groggily. "You're right, I wasn't really asleep yet. Is everything okay?" "Yeah, I'm a little cold. Do you mind if I sleep next to you?" Hideki nodded once and smiled slightly, and with that she laid down on her side, leaning her head on Hideki's stomach. She draped his jacket around herself, now using it as a blanket. "Unless you want it back," she said, looking at him. He indicated that he did not. They stayed like this for several minutes until Hideki's attempt at sleep were again interrupted by the girl's voice. "Hideki?" "Hmm?" "What was that happy memory that Shadow showed you?" Hideki paused. "Go to sleep, Harm. Please, I haven't seen you happy in a really long time. I don't know what makes you happy anymore. Please tell me." Hideki relented, unsure why he was giving in so easily. "It was the day I met you. The day I promised to teach you how to be a great trainer. Harmony smiled and looked up at him. Really? The way she posed this question reminded him of the young girl that appeared on his doorstep all those years ago. Really? This seemed to satisfy the young girl's curiosity for now. Good night, Hideki. Thank you, she said as she finally seemed to fall asleep, a smile still on her face. As he too felt himself succumb to the gravity of sleep, his mind was focused on the girl lying next to him. A heavy guilt weighed on him. He thought especially of how he had pushed her away from him after his return to Hoenn. He couldn't even remember all the times she tried to inspire him to keep going, but his pride had always gotten in the way, and it was Harmony that always seemed to get caught up in the crossfire. She was his punching bag because she was the only one he had left, and looking back now, Hideki couldn't fathom what had motivated her to stay by his side after everything he had put her through. Hideki bent his head down slowly, so as not to wake her, and kissed the top of her head. I'm sorry, he whispered into the air. Harmony lifted a hand out from under her jacket, and gently placed a finger over his lips. No need for that, she whispered so quiet it was barely audible. That's in the past now.